I want to welcome everyone who came here in person tonight, and then also everyone that's watching via YouTube Live tonight as well. I'm going to give a brief introduction of the project, including the history, because what I don't want tonight to be about, because we've heard plenty of it, is why didn't we do this, why didn't we do that, why didn't we do this? This project's been going on for 2 decades. And no one on the board was here when this started, including me. We inherited it. Same thing with Ramsey. He was a young man when this started. And now he has kids of his own. So talking about the triangle, as I said, this went back to like 2000. And it's a TIF district. For those of you who don't know what a TIF district is, it's a tax incentive financing district. And so what that means is that the property taxes were set flat when that TIF was enacted for all the taxing bodies. So they get the same amount every year. And then any amount over that tax from the new, anything new that's in there, like 9750, goes into the project itself for infrastructure. The reality of the project is that it's about $30 million in the hole, because we don't have any projects. Typically in a TIF, you'll see a plan put together right away, or actually while the TIF is going on, so that things get built right away. So then if that would have been built by, say, 2006, 2007, the last 14 years we've been getting taxes to pay off for all that infrastructure. We didn't have that in this case, okay? There wasn't really a plan. We've seen, I know a lot of you have seen 4 plans. There were 4 plans that I'm aware of in the early 2000s up to about 2008, at the tune of between $500,000 and $1 million cost to the village. Nothing here looks anything like those plans. Because none of this looks anything like those plans, none of the whole project's going to look like those plans. Those plans were, as many of you recall, single-story, 2-story buildings. In fact, the 2008 Land Development Code called for single-story and 2-story buildings along 143rd and along LaGrange. Anything larger, these size buildings were allowed, but they were to be in the back of the site. Well, obviously, that was 2008. That was the code when these things were put in. They just changed the code to allow those. So things changed. In a perfect world, in my opinion, you would have a developer that wants to come, redevelop the whole site, even if they're only doing pieces of it, but they have a plan for the whole site. We never really had that. So we ended up with 9750 in and about 2013-14 timeframe. $65 million project. Taxpayers put up $64 million of it. When we got out of it, we lost about $7 million on the real estate part of it. We are generating property tax, which is good, but on a pure real estate perspective, that's what we lost on it. Good news is we're not involved in it anymore. We don't have any ownership, so that's a good thing. University of Chicago being in Orland Park is a great thing that they're here. The downside is that they were looking at 2 other sites, and they are a non-for-profit. And remember what I said, in a tax increment district, we want property tax that helps pay the infrastructure. Well, University of Chicago doesn't pay any. So putting a non-for-profit in a TIF is not what I would normally do. But that's what we have. So the point is that this is what we have now. What we have is 9750. What we have is a parking deck. The parking deck is needed. It's going to be used. It's going to be useful because parking is limited. Will be limited down there because it is not a big site. I hear people, oh, we need a downtown like Naperville. Well, Naperville's 5 or 6 square blocks by 5 or 6 square blocks. This is a block by a block. Okay, it's just not that big of a site. So, but we're going to need parking for that site, because the reality is, as much as people want transit-oriented developments, people are not taking a train as Orland Park destination to get off here, like they do downtown. So people are going to get here by car. So we're going to need parking. So the good news is we have parking there, but we do have big buildings along 143rd. So this is not going to be some quaint little downtown. It's just not, that won't look right or fit right in this. And quite frankly, I don't think Ramsey and his team could actually make any money building something, a bunch of single-story buildings there at this point. So, but what we have to do is we have to take what we have. We have to modify the plans that we have and implement a plan that does look good, does blend in with the rest of the site. It's going to be a little bit more urban. You're going to see that some of it's been that some of the area is walkable, but again, it's a block by a block. It's not a whole lot of space down there. The other thing that Ramsey, the board has, and I have made very clear to Ramsey and his team is, and we made clear to the last group as well, is that whatever's done down here cannot just benefit the people who live here in this picture. It has to benefit all of the residents of Orland Park. So we want something that everyone in Orland Park gets to enjoy, not just the people who live at 143rd and LaGrange. How did we get here with Ramsey? So when I was elected, one of the things I wanted to see was to see the development as a whole. You'll hear a lot about, oh, we had a movie theater online. Well, here's what we had for a movie theater. We had a letter of intent, and they had a promise that they were going to be given $8 million. They were just given $8 million for a movie theater. That movie theater had 12 theaters nationwide, and they would not sign a lease. Well, as soon as I walked in and I heard that they were being offered $8 million and they hadn't signed a lease, I said, they're never going to. If they've got that much money on the table, no one gives a movie theater that much money. If they got that much on the table and they're not signing a lease, they never will. 6 months later, they hadn't. Then we know that we approved an AMC deal. AMC obviously just backed out of their deal with COVID. So we may have dodged a bullet, because having a theater down there with what's happened to the theater industry, from all I've heard, people expect it to recover, but it might be 4 or 5 years till that happens. So it may have been a bad thing. So, you know, things work out for a reason. So we ended up with looking to get the whole site redeveloped. We had 2 developers that we chose to provide more information. One was Edwards Realty, one was Structured Development. The board chose it was not a unanimous vote, so people did vote for Edwards and people voted for Structured. Structured Development was chosen. Through COVID, they decided to back out. Well, what we did is we re-engaged Edwards to see if they were still interested, and they were. Obviously, the plans have changed slightly because the dynamics of the marketplace have changed. One of the things in the long term that we're probably going to have to do to make a project that we all want to see is we're probably going to have to extend that TIF. And we've already had some of those discussions with the school boards and the fire district to engage with those discussions, because there are some hoops we have to jump through to do that. And the reason why is because this project, by the time it was done, we'd only have a couple of years left in the TIF, and we won't see anything back to help pay for that infrastructure. So by extending that, we will get some money back in to help pay for that infrastructure and help Ramsey and his team develop a project that we all want to see. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ramsey, and then he's going to turn it over to all of you for questions and input and the like.
Pleasure to be here discussing a downtown Orland Park project. I will say I've never taken over a project that's already $30 million in the hole, but you know, there's challenges that we can overcome. Like your favorite substitute teacher in grade school, I'm going to start off with a video. Taylor? So this is kind of a brief overview of the project. So that is part of our marketing campaign to users for the site. Edwards Realty Company, we're a small family operation based here in Orland Park. I'm also a resident here. And this project and this site is very, very meaningful to me and my company. We own Orland Park Crossing across the street. We bought that out of foreclosure in 3 different phases, and we're able to turn that around and stabilize it. We also developed the building with City Barbecue on the other corner. And so we have an intimate knowledge of specifically this area of Orland Park. I personally drive past this site multiple times a day, whether it's dropping my kids off at school or on the way to the office. And in being in Orland Park and being in the retail tenant business and finding tenants and promoting Orland Park nonstop, it only made sense to want to be part of this site in some way, shape, or form. We always wanted to build on what we're already doing in Orland. And previously, it was very distressing to see, as we're working through Orland Park Crossing and turning that around, we would have multiple tenants. We have a lot of smaller users there, smaller space. We don't have very large space. When we're out to the market and at these conventions and trade shows and other things, talking to potential tenants, we always had an interest in maybe moving some of them or putting them in the Triangle site. And I would always call and say, what is the availability there? And I would never get a straight answer. So the number one thing when you're trying to sell something is, how much and when, and those could never be answered. So we were, very excited when, new administration took over and, went out to RFP. Even though we weren't successful the first time around, we're usually the guys that come in second and actually finish the project and get the job done. So we are very excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk about our plans, and I just want to let everyone know this is what we're going to market as. This is conceptual, and we will be out in the market. We will see what the users out there are interested in, and what the community is interested in as well. So we're going to merge those things, and being an integral part of the community now, I'm also the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. So we have almost 500 businesses under our umbrella. So we're talking to a lot of existing businesses, and we're talking to a lot of new businesses coming into town. So with that information, I feel like allows us at Edwards Realty to kind of be at the forefront of what's going on. And the downtown is an integral part of any community. So back when learning real estate in college and architecture and how things are built, it's always built around a city center from the beginning of time. There has to be a city center. And for a long time when I was growing up, that was Orland Square Mall. And that was great for the time at that time, but there still are places for some indoor malls like Orland Square Mall. There's places for outdoor malls like Orland Park Crossing and Orland Park Place, but we don't have what consumers, residents, community members want and need, and that's a downtown. And I've always been envious as well of other downtowns. We've done a lot in other downtowns too, that knowledge we're going to bring to Orland Park. We did a major redevelopment in downtown LaGrange. We had 2 city blocks that were already built that had some issues. We came in, vacant borders, other vacancies. We came and fixed those. We are doing work in Burr Ridge. We bought the Burr Ridge Village Center. And we made a number of changes during COVID, and now we're created an entertainment district. We brought in new tenants, medical, businesses, retail. So we see how these things work and how they change communities, but you really need a community to buy into what you're doing in order to be successful. So I'd like to run through the project with you and get into a little bit more detail. So development team, Edwards Realty Company, and then we have a minority partner, Core Acquisitions, that is also helping us, that we've partnered on other projects before. Our leasing team, we're using JLL on the retail side and Avis & Young for the office leasing. We have architects at D+K and contractors at ICI. I'm happy to say that everyone on the team has some connection to Orland Park. They either grew up here, graduated college here, and are intimately familiar with the South Side. It was very important for me to bring in people who understood Orland Park in the community. A lot of times, when I was trying to sell, let's say, City Barbecue, get off 55 and come down, they're like, this is all forest preserves. There's nobody here. There's, nothing going on, until you have to really sit them down, explain everything that's going on, and then they see the kind of the magic here, which a lot of businesses do. It was over and over I would hear, we're going to do Naperville, we're going to do this, and then we'll do Orland Park. And then by the time they do get to Orland Park, they always exceed expectations. Their sales always exceed expectations. So we've seen that a number of times, and it's still it's still an uphill battle, but we want to build on the successes of the other businesses here. And you'll hear from some of them later on the team. So welcome to downtown Orland Park. This is going to be a really premier shopping and entertainment destination in the southwest suburbs. I don't need to sell you on all of the amenities of Orland, since most of you are residents here or do business here. But I'm going to continually say this over and over, that we are a regional hub. So for a town, a village that attracts from, all of the surrounding areas, we're like a nucleus here. So we are definitely poised to be able to have a downtown that not only serves the residents in this exact area, the residents of all of Orland Park, but all of the surrounding suburbs. When we bought Orland Park Crossing, the first thing we did is try and figure out who are our customers? How do we market this? And marketing has become a very big part of what we do. And we learned that we get a lot of shoppers from Northwest Indiana, obviously Homer Glen, Frankfort, Mokina, Monee, Manhattan. I mean, our reach is a lot farther than some of the other suburbs, like the western suburbs and northern suburbs that may have other shopping destinations that are a lot closer. People will drive from longer distances to come here. So we're looking at putting significant amount of commercial space, 63,000 square feet, a lot of restaurant space here, and I'll get into that later. A significant amount of office space. We need daytime population here, and I think we're poised for a really cool office development. When we're going through with our office team and our architects talking about the different amenities we want to have, and I'm like, well, what's already here? Is this around? Is this around? It was continually no, 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 and I think that these are the things, especially coming out of COVID, that we're going to be presenting to potential users of the building that are going to be really exciting. We're going to have residential space as well, some more residential space. We're going to have what's really cool, and we'll hear from later, a civic entertainment amphitheater as well, 3 stories. And then obviously we have to have more parking spaces to accommodate all that. And I don't want to leave out the green space. And we're going to have an amazing park, which we'll get into later, which I think is going to tie the whole development together. About Orland Park. The location here bodes very well for coming off of 294, 55, 57 LaGrange Road. It's really a short commute from Midway Airport and the amazing train station that we have. So the location has never been a problem here. It's never been a problem to sell the location. The connection to the community, we have the train station, which is a great amenity. It's a little bit underutilized. I think a development like this will help utilize that, and it's my understanding there's funding now that's come to the table to expand some of the train lines and build up ridership, and coming out of COVID, those things will continually build and bodes very well for the property. We have bike paths that go through there. We're going to have parking garages, existing parking garage that's already there. So, for vehicular traffic, for, this day and age where a lot of people are using rideshare and those kind of things, this site will all be suitable for that, as well as the walkability. So we're going to curate the retail and dining. What that means, and what I'm talking about the connection to the community, I know we don't need, very many more chain restaurants. I live it, I know it. So what we're trying to do is figure out the best fit for this development, where there are restaurateurs and businesses that are, not the typical national brands that come in here, and it's very cookie cutter, but more of the local flavor. I mean, we need some specialty retail and dining, and I'm going to bring up a member of our retail team that's taking the lead on the leasing to talk a little bit about the retail environment, the community, and kind of what we're trying to go for here. So Peter Caruso, if you wouldn't mind coming up, talking a little bit about the retail market and how great you're going to do for this development.
Of course. Peter Caruso, Jones Lane LaSalle. I lead up the retail leasing team for the Midwest of JLL. Been in the business for 15 years, been working with Ramsey and his family for 10. And over the last few years, we have leased more space than almost anybody else in the market. So When this opportunity came to us, we jumped all over it. Orland Park, as it's been stated, does not have a central district per se, and I think that this will be what we have. I was actually one of the first leasing agents on 9750 at the park. I've leased 159th, at least 159th in LaGrange for Simon, 143rd in LaGrange on the property that Ramsey developed as well. So I've done a fair amount here. I'm not local to Orland. I grew up in Bridgeport, not that far away. So, you know, this means something to me outside of, you know, just collecting fees. But the state of the market today is, it's all over the place. I would say about 60% of my portfolio is urban-based, and the city has taken a very hard hit. And what we have seen is a lot of people leaving the city, coming back out to the suburbs, and there has been more transactions happening in the suburbs today than I've seen probably in the last 5 to 7 years. So in a very short time frame, we've put this out to the marketplace, and we've received multiple offers from all different types of uses. Ramsey brought up, we just don't want to do the same cookie cutter, everything that you see everywhere else. And we're trying to curate something that's more than just that. I believe Chuck Lager just signed a deal in the market, right? They're taking over the old Granite City. That's Fabio and the guys that are behind Bar Sienna in the city are also taking over that. So we have a very, very similar approach, talking to a lot of good local groups, trying to get them over here into the market and doing something here. So a very good mix of retail, of whatever that is today, restaurant, entertainment is where we're at. And the good thing is about the timing of this project is there's more emphasis on the suburbs today than there has been. So 2 or 3 years ago, where everybody was focused on being in the city in some way, shape, or form, that is not happening today. All the suburban centers that we represent are doing a very, very good job of leasing up, both from a rental rate standpoint and from a tenancy standpoint. So that's the more or less the state of the market. I brought on 3 people from my team onto this, so this is a #1 priority for us to get this up and running as soon as we can.
Thanks, Pete. So in addition to having curated retail and dining at the site, we are also going to have premier office and residential. So, you know, I'm going to bring up a member of our office team to talk about. This is a product we're going to bring to market on the office side that Orland Park has never seen, and it's going to be, you know, one of the nicest positioned and nicest office building, I would say, around. And we have to do it justice. As a regional center, we should be a regional center of commerce as well. And in order to do that, you got to have the space to do that. And I'm a big believer that we need the office space here. So I'll bring up Matt Ward to talk a little bit about the office market.
That's right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ramsey.
Sure.
I am Matt Ward. I've been in commercial real estate for Avison Young. I lead a large team downtown and suburban Chicago. I'm an Orland Park resident. I've been a resident here for 20 years, so I'm very intrinsically motivated for this project. I see a lot of value here, and I see a lot of benefit to our community, and I'm incredibly motivated to get it done. Over that 30-year real estate career, I've done a lot of, you know, anchor tenant development in the suburbs, in the city. Very understanding of what corporate America wants, what they don't want, what the new dynamics are in terms of what they're trying to do to recruit and retain the best talent in the world. So a big part of what drives Chicago office development and office absorption is really who's going to be taking these desks, who's going to be taking these cubes. And those kids are, for the most part, this is just a generalization, okay, but are kind of Big Ten kids, right? So a lot of these are from Notre Dame and Michigan, and I hope I don't leave anything out, Illinois and Wisconsin and Illinois State, and all those great schools are producing engineering and law and finance and accounting, and all of those kids are smart and brilliant, and they don't want to work in a big parking field in the suburbs of X, including Orland Park. They They have coveted and shown their desire around the country and around the world to be in urban centers that have mixed-use opportunities for them to have a quality of life at the desk, which our architectural team is working very closely and with the Edwards team to produce a building that's representative of their desires, and a community that they're going to be excited to go to work every day, right? And so everybody wants them to come to work for them, and a lot of those kids are highly talented and they're young. And so, the idea of being able to go for a run at lunch and take a shower, the ability to go out and have some drinks with coworkers after work, or to go to 3 different places to have coffee for a break, all of those things are incredibly important for their decision to come to work for XYZ company. And so, as Peter mentioned, there's certainly some dynamic to it in the office market. There is a little bit of uncertainty as to relates to large corporations' desire to continue their kind of migration to the city. And I think they're kind of stepping back and thinking about that. And I think there is a more desire than most, there's been for a long time, to evaluate suburban locations. What they are not considering are parking field scenarios, right? So we have this, big parking field in Peatone. Peatone's a great community, but a big parking field, we're going to build the most inexpensive real estate possible. We're going to put it on single floor, and everybody's going to get these huge cubes, and we're going to put a 1,000 square foot deli in there and a small little fitness center, and we want you to come to work here. And it's going to be really hard for those companies to recruit those kids, and they know it, and so no matter what the price of real estate is, they're not coming to that space because it's not going to drive their productivity and their business line. And so what's really great about this project, what's really exciting about creating a really truly mixed use project where we're integrating daytime population, nighttime population, retail, residential, a community center, a nature preserve, an opportunity, and the community that we live in, a safe community that has tremendous access to labor and strong demographics. And we're going to go and manufacture a story. We're not looking to, in the old terms they use the word cannibalize, we're not going to call the tenant from across the street like they do in downtown Chicago and say, you can come over here for $1 less, and would you come and do it? We're going to go out and tell a story of what 20,000 square foot floor plans and full height glass and a truly mixed use development can do with a qualified developer in a great community. And we want your employees from X, large, publicly traded Fortune 100 company ideally, but notwithstanding that, a great quality tenant to anchor this project. And then the balance of the project, as is often done, we've done many times, will be filled in with medium-sized tenants, smaller local tenants, but will produce an asset that is financeable for the Edwards team, that has tremendous merit for the development, that's cohesive and symbiotic to what we're trying to achieve. And that's what's getting us excited. And the Edwards team has really produced something that's exciting, and Rem's going to talk more about that. I'm going to try to get our company to take some office space in this building because I think it's going to be great. But I think there's really a tremendous opportunity for the business team, for the community, for everybody to benefit. And I'm saying that as a resident of the community and as a very qualified developer professional in the business. So we're excited to be on the team, and we're thrilled to be part of it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
So you guys heard it here. His company's going to take some office space in the development. That's all I heard from all of that. We got a tenant. So, we are going to, there's residential on the site at 9750, and we want to expand upon that in some way, shape, or form, but our main focus is on the commercial aspect, the restaurants, the retail, and the office, and we know, residential is very hot right now. We know what kind of product we want to put at the site. We're just not, we're not going to commit to exactly where yet until some of all these other things shake out. So let's move on to current downtown Orland Park. We have University of Chicago, we have a CVS at the ground floor, we have a parking deck with a vacant commercial space at the base, and we have 9750 residential building. Now, all these are separately owned. We don't control it. We don't have anything to do with it except to work with our existing neighbors to bring something great to fruition. We also have Crescent Park that's there now, which we are planning some changes. So some of the changes will be a new park, and this is a rendering of what that will look like on a periphery of a walking path. We have a 3-story civic building, which you can see there, amphitheater, which we'll get into later, and we are proposing a Heroes Memorial Park to be the centerpiece of the development. we need to create a sense of, you know, what a downtown is, and it's not just putting up a bunch of buildings and having like a mini skyline. We got to have a place that people want to go for many different reasons. So, you know, we need to brand it, we need to market it, and it needs to be a place that people come from all over, you know, to downtown Orland Park. And the funny thing is, I'm sure a lot of you who frequent other towns, when you have to, you go, you know, there's a business that moves in, you know, to another municipality in their downtown, and that drives a lot of traffic. Whether it's a brewery or a restaurant or a store, you know, that kind of starts to change things. So, you don't need to have an anchor these days. They don't need to be, you know, 100,000 square feet and it's a Target or a Walmart and you get some small shop space next to it. It can be a really cool restaurant that is very hard to get, that nobody else around can get, and they can't figure out why, but we got them. So that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're going to do. So this is an example of where we want to create kind of an entertainment district at the north end of the site, where on the south end will open up to a new park, and at the north end will be a water feature. And we have what Matt was talking about earlier, an office building is what you see on that side, and that's a proposed residential building on that side. Now, that's all on top of commercial space, and we envision that not to be necessarily like shopping and retail, but more entertainment and pedestrian only. So we're going to cut off the street. There'll be drop-off points. There'll be another parking garage we'll get into later, but that's going to be a place that has, you know, bars, restaurants. As you can see, here's an overview. And in order to activate, you know, really all around, we want to have a rooftop area, a rooftop restaurant on top of the office building. And also for the office tenants, they're going to be able to have another area of rooftop space for, you know, relaxation, office meetings, outdoor conference areas, whatever. And you know, this is kind of going to be like a Bourbon Street or a Beale Street, where it's going to be active, and there's going to be multiple different things to go to, whether it's a you know, kind of like a country western bar, and you know, a kind of cool Mexican restaurant, and you know, it's going to be very lively with music and activations and a lot of things that people want these days and flock to, and we need to have it here, and which is what we're going to do. And we've already had some great momentum that JLL has brought with several tenants that want to be here. So, you know, honestly, name like your favorite, you know, restaurant in a different community that's popular, that people go to, and we're talking to them and they're interested. So it's really, the hardest part is figuring out, you know, which one we go with and what's going to be the best mix for these puzzle pieces. So here we have, this is basically the master plan, and I'll get into the specific parcels. So parcel A and B are going to straddle the entertainment district that we have here. And parcel A is going to be primarily the office component, and then parcel B is going to be the residential component that we're proposing now. Now, where you see Crescent Park, now we're planning on putting a building there, and this is going to be kind of what I would call like a focal point of the development, because it's going to be an amphitheater, a civic building used for a multitude of uses, but we have the user here, so we did sign a letter of intent with a company to come in, and we're going to build a building for them. And they're going to speak later as to all of the uses that are going to go on at this building, but it is, it's very forward thinking, it's very 21st century, there's nothing like it, but the key to all of these things is to make it timeless. You know, whatever we build here has to be around for 100 years, and that doesn't mean that, you know, if a use changes, we tear the building down and build something new. It just means that it has to be adaptable and multi-purpose and multi-use, because as we know, things change all the time, and we want to make sure we're not reinvesting millions of dollars into infrastructure when we could kind of think about these things ahead of time and do it in a thoughtful way. We also have some outlot buildings on LaGrange Road, which will most likely be restaurants and retail. What I spoke of before, the centerpiece is Heroes Park. We're going to have a Heroes Memorial in there, and it's going to be a very large park where it's going to do everything that Crescent Park does now, except 10 times more. We'll be able to have water features there. We'll still have small concerts, you know, whether it's market at the park, different activations, food trucks, all those kind of things that that the community has come out for currently. And we're going to build upon that. We've seen it. I've been there. We've had booths there, for our center at Orland Park Crossing. So, we live these things, we see it, and then we see how we can maybe improve upon it. So then we do have parcel C. We're talking with either a senior housing developer or a daycare user that will most likely be, some type of commercial or potential residential development there. We can get into the specific parcels now, and I'll share some data going more into parcel A and B. So on parcel A, we're talking about a 6-story mixed-use building. The first floor is going to be commercial, as I stated before, primarily bars, restaurants, entertainment uses. We are going to have the 2nd through 5th floor of the office use, state-of-the-art office building, and we do want to create a rooftop amenity for the office, and we're going to have a rooftop restaurant. We're talking with a specialty wine bar right now. And in order to do that, we do have to, on the parking lot that you see there is going to be an additional parking deck for over 300 cars. Now parcel B, again, we're going to do a 5-story mixed-use building. The first floor is going to be commercial, part of that entertainment district that I spoke of before. The 2nd and 5th floor, we're proposing luxury residential units, about 80 units, and then we do have an out parcel on LaGrange Road. That will be surface parking, and we're talking about potential underground parking below to handle residential parking. So if we move on to Crescent Park, this was the 3-story civic amphitheater we talked about, and we're going to have the user come up in a little bit and discuss that concept in detail, because that was new to me. And as soon as I heard about the potential for they're very forward-thinking in esports and other concerts and uses, it was very, very cool, and I think will tie into our development very, very nicely. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Parcel H, this is the parking lot kind of in front of University of Chicago on LaGrange Road. These will be outlot buildings as well, retail or restaurant, fast casual, potential for a drive-through for the right user. Parcel C, which I just mentioned, we have a couple different options. There's a senior housing developer we're talking about doing a joint venture with, and then we also have a daycare center, several daycare users that would like to be here, and we think both uses are very, very symbiotic of what we're trying to do here, and especially with people going to work, using the train, those kind of things. I think a daycare center or senior housing would be great and add a little bit of density and need at the site. Next, you have the new park, which we're designing now. We're going to be working on this in conjunction with the Village. We're going to have ability to have cafes, different water features we're talking about now, and we really do want the centerpiece to be a Heroes Memorial Park. I believe that was brought up at a board meeting of possibly putting one by the police station. I thought the idea was very good. I didn't think the location that was proposed was very good. It needs to be somewhere that people are going to see and want to go to. Nobody wants to go to a police station, no offense. And really coming out of COVID and all of the other things that we've seen, there are a lot of heroes around, and I'm sure a lot of them are in your family, and they should be celebrated. In all of these spaces, like I said before, we have the community in mind. There are going to be a lot of community features, whether it's water features, ability to, relax, play ping pong, bags, different activations and programs we have going on. So, any part of a successful downtown, you have things going on and it's cohesive. So we've learned that in our shopping centers that are primarily lifestyle centers or in downtowns of suburbs, everyone does well when they work together to do something. So it doesn't do any good if you have an amazing tenant, next to one that's struggling, next to one that's, doesn't feel like turning on their sign or cleaning their windows, those things shine through. So we're not interested in having just the, the sexiest tenant or with the best balance sheet. They have to really do something for us, and we're being very, very picky in that regard. And some of our bankers don't like to hear it, but we're not going to go with all national tenants. We're just not. I'm not interested in it. So we want to have the local flavor. There will be local and regional tenants here. Of course, there'll be some national ones, but this isn't just going to be something that you're able to see in a community in South Carolina and then a community in Texas and repeat. That's not what we're interested in. That's not the type of developers that we are. So I think a centerpiece of what we're doing here is this amphitheater civic building. So I'd like to bring up Ken McGraw to talk a little bit about what he's bringing to Orland Park. Ken?
Okay, yes, my name is Ken McGraw. I represent GTV. We're an esports media company. If that's the end result of the building that we occupy, that would be fantastic. Right now we're in the process of figuring out what that's exactly going to be. We recognize that this triangle is unique with the existing structures that are already there. So we're working with designers and planners right now to figure out the best way that this thing would look based on our usages and things that we're going to be doing inside of this building. So usages. We are an esports media company. Anybody here familiar with esports and what that is? Okay, so we've got kids in the family, gamers in the family. Wonderful. What we intend to happen here is to be the energy and the excitement and the engine that drives a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attention, and foot traffic and dollars to this particular triangle. And if you're familiar with the esports industry at all, you understand that those things are accomplished based on the activities that happen inside of any particular building. So starting with the building itself, again, we intend it to be something that fits naturally inside of this space. We're working with Ramsey. Ramsey, thank you for bringing us in on this project. I appreciate it. You're a gentleman and a scholar. So we're excited about being here. I'm personally excited about being here because I am a lifer in Orland Park, actually a third generation Orland Park resident. Okay, I think my grandma told me that she was here when LaGrange Road was gravel. So, okay, and I've renewed my, it's true. I don't know if they have pictures or not of that, but, and I've renewed my driver's license over there more times than I care to admit. Okay, so I'm a local person.
And he does his meetings at Fox's. So.
And I do, yes, my dad's favorite pizza joint. Okay. So I'm vested in this project more so than just being an occupier, a tenant, or an owner of this building specifically. This is a major feather in my cap and my company's cap to be a part of this facility, to part of this project and development. And I thank Ramsey for bringing us in on that. So the brief time I have here, I'm just going to give you a couple bullet points of what's going to happen in this building. I'll be at a table here afterward for more questions about that. But esports right now, I know I lose a lot of people, but again, the building itself will have the activations of esports and tournaments, live events, and also a civic center. So this is a multi-purpose building, not a one-dimensional situation. This is a multi-purpose building, but the activations and the events that we bring to this space bring in a tremendous amount of activity, eyeballs, and revenue from outside of the city itself. So just some cursory review of esports events that happen. 80, 85 cents on every dollar that's generated with an esports event comes in from outside of the city itself. So it's a major revenue producer, great for the retail in and around here. So I'm excited to work with Ramsey and the Chamber and get all the businesses involved with this particular project. So this is very much a group effort for what's about to happen here. We intend to bring the engine, the excitement, the activity, but we really intend to work with the Chamber and the existing businesses here to bring them inside of this building to have access to all of this new activity that's about to happen inside of this building itself. So the esports competition stage, yes, there will be 3 floors on this space, obviously a 96,000 square foot building. One of the floors is dedicated to a competition stage, which is actually also a live event space. Okay, so people come in and we host live events, whether it's esports tournaments or concert events, things of that nature, will be hosted in this space. So the TV production studios that will be here give me the reason to call this an esports technology and media space. So this destination will be known as a high-tech media production facility and live event space. So people will see Orland Park as a destination to come and participate in the live events that are here, but also to be tenants inside this building because of the technology that will be available inside of this space. So this is not a convention center with 4 walls and some chairs. This will have that component to it that will invite the public in to utilize the space, invite the businesses in to utilize the space, but also attract the high technology consumer and partner and business to be a part of the space because of the technology that will be associated inside of this building itself. So here's kind of a rendering of, actually a picture of what an esports event looks like, which is just basically a stage and a bunch of people that are coming to watch other people play video games. So it's, whether you get it or not, they come here, and this is actually a high dollar event, okay? So the demographics and the revenue that comes from an event like this far exceeds most other events, okay? The disposable income, again, the demographics, and the price per ticket and price per customer, revenue spent per customer that comes to an event like this is exponentially greater than a typical just come out to a concert or come out to an event. So I challenge you to go and search online for esports events and the revenue that's produced. The clientele that comes to these spaces is also important to what we're doing here. Working with Ramsey to help explain, again, the clientele and the activity that happens inside of a building like this with the events that we put out there and the people that we attract to this. It's attractive to the average Orland Park resident. Again, it's not some of these different connotations that may come up when you talk about live events and things of that nature. So esports itself is a value add to a community with the events that are produced inside of it. And again, just the foot traffic and the involvement by the local community and the local businesses. That's why we want to be engaged with the chamber to ensure that everybody has a piece of this pie and is part of everything that happens here. This is a rendering of the first floor of the property. Again, we want to be very cognizant of the space itself and the current site plan of this triangle. We understand there's a residential component. There's a picture-perfect train station, okay, that's right there. For a storybook, it's perfect. But then the area, the green space, the, what's it called for the memorial?
Oh, Heroes Memorial Park.
Heroes Memorial Park. And then the new mixed use. We intend to see a lot of traffic circulate inside of this park. Okay, we want to have people that come here for a particular reason and have reasons to stay inside of this location. So this here is an instance of things that will happen inside the building that will be open to the public. So open to the public gaming stations, open to the public computers. We intend to have kiosks and things for local businesses to have access to the foot traffic and things of that nature. People getting off the train, killing time, getting a cup of coffee, visiting some of the things that are here. This is very much a civic center open to the public, first floor, where people can walk in and out and see what's happening inside of this location, make future plans to come back, and also spend a couple dollars here, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's very attractive for everybody. So the high technology component of this, we are a media company, so we are in the business of creating content and also aggregating other content creators. So we attract businesses and people that live in this space, that have businesses that deal in content. So communications and media things of that nature will be an integral part of what we're doing here. On the second floor of this building, there'll be a TV production studio, which creates content, which does interviews, that generates a lot of activity on the media side of things that we'll be occupying, and we'll also be offering space, office space to people to rent booths and things of that nature inside of this space. But the first floor is the main event space. We're intending the second floor to be a TV production studio, which will also bring to market, again, all of the existing businesses in the existing activity here. We intend to highlight this building and where it's situated and everything that's around it, because we want this to be a destination. We want this to be highlighted inside Esports circles, which is international, and also business circles, which may be regional. So if we're reaching local or the tri-state area or whatever it is, we want people to associate Orland Park with a high technology center, with a media center, and with that esports component that really changes the conversation. We talk about use of space and activity inside the building. So again, back to the first floor. So as people are walking in to the first floor, okay, we want to have things that are available to them. So with the main stage area and the performance space, there may be a live concert event happening. Just like when you go through Disney and you come out, you always exit through the merchandise store, right? Okay, I've been to Disney enough to know how it works, right? So there has to be a merchandise store. So same thing with the food court and cafeteria area, right? This will be local businesses here. We're engaging with right now local businesses to be a part of what's happening here, to have a presence here, to have an outreach, and to benefit from what's happening inside of this space. So again, I'll be over here on the side to answer any more questions specifically about the space, but I thank Ramsey for inviting us into the project, and we look forward to being here and developing this. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. I had no idea what esports was when we first started talking, and we've been talking for a couple of years now in different facets. I've kind of been learning about the space, and it's the fastest growing sport in the U.S. So, we have to take notice, and we have to react. So I was told to keep this, short and sweet. I'll just leave with, the connection to the community and what we're already doing is paramount. So, we want to make sure that, we'll have, for example, Orland Park Crossing. We want to be connected to the mall, to Village Hall. So, we want to have things like a trolley system where somebody can park in one place and visit these different assets that we have, going on at certain times. So, there'll be pilot programs going for that, and all kind of different things that that it's not the typical, just park in front of the store, get in and get out. This will be a place for not only shopping but entertainment, office, restaurant, retail, and residential. So I think things like this really bring communities together, and I feel it's going to be a very integral part of what Orland Park is, and where we're going to go in the future. So this is meant to be, connecting with the community and getting some input. So I'll invite our Chief of Staff and Marketing Director, Taylor, to come up and let you know how you guys are going to participate and give us your feedback.
Well, guys, I think it's pretty self-explanatory here, but if you can either scan the QR code with your phone, if it reaches that far, I'm hoping from your seat you can, or you can just text hello to the number that's listed here. What will happen is you'll get an automated message that will come to you. It will say, thank you for joining our text community, and then it'll have a link. You'll need to click on that link. It'll add downtown Orland as a contact in your phone. And then once that happens, it will send you a link to a survey that then you can take and let us know your feedback on some of the project. We have some questions there. We did leave a blank box at the bottom. If you do have other questions or concerns, you can leave those in that blank box for us, and we can get back to you on those questions. However, just so you guys do know, this is an open text line, so by any means, you can text us at any time. and we will get that live. So this can be an open forum for us to be able to connect with the community. If you have questions, concerns, it is just like probably basically just be texting us, me, Ramsey, the team. So we will get that and get back to you with an answer, when we can, if you do have questions. But if you don't or can't figure this out, please just raise your hand, and myself and Michelle will come around and help you with that. If not, we'll just take a little bit, let you guys do that survey for about 5 minutes, and then once we are done with that, we will do some breakout sessions. We have 4 different stations here in the center. So in these 2 far corners, we are going to have our architects over here to the left. Us, Edwards Realty Company, will be in the corner to the right. The Village will be over here with any questions you may have for them. We've kind of highlighted the park for them because they will be helping us with that park. They're going to be a partner with us on that, so if you have questions regarding that, they'll be here to answer those. And then the Esports, Ken will be in the back corner to answer any questions you guys may have about the Esports and Civic Center Arena. So with that being said, I'll give the mic back to Ramsey so he can conclude this, and we'll be on our way.
Thank you all for being here. Long live Orland Park. That's all I got.